Hello, everyone. Welcome in. Grab your seats, get comfortable. We'll get started in just a little bit here. We'll allow some people to trickle in, and we'll just get started in a few minutes. Okay, to pass the time, I'll just I'll tell a little joke. So a man goes to the doctor, and he says, "Doctor, doctor, I feel like a pair of curtains." The doctor says, "Pull yourself together, man." That's my doctor joke. Okay, while you're coming in, go ahead and let us know where you're from in the chat. I think we should have some people from South America, from North America. We should have some Canadian people in here. Canada's part of North America, right? So North America, South America. All right, yeah, looks like we have people from all over the world. Fantastic. That's great. All right, so I'll introduce myself really quick, and then we can get started in just a sec. My name is Mike Pitt. At Zeppelin, what I'm focused on is making sure that our users are utilizing Zeppelin to its fullest potential, really pushing the envelope with our tool. And so that's a piece of what today is about. And you're in the right place. Today is a Zeppelin talk, and we're going to talk about why developers love Zeppelin. First, we're going to overview a little bit about Zeppelin assets and how to deliver them and why they're just a little bit special as opposed to other tools. We're going to overview spacing tokens in Zeppelin, how to create them, what it looks like on a screen. And then finally, we're going to check out pop-out and maybe one more thing afterwards if we have time, in honor of the Apple event the other day. We're gonna copy what they do. Okay, great. Yeah, if you have any questions, put them in the Q&A section. We have two moderators, actually, Noelis and Patrick, who are from Zeppelin and will answer your questions. And then at the end, I think I will be answering a couple of the questions live. So you could be the lucky one if you ask a question. All right, let's get to it. Great. So delivering assets. Delivering assets has been around for a long time, like years, right? But even today, it's still, it's a little painful to deliver assets, like even years down the road. So there's a couple different ways that we do it today. One of the ways might be just giving people a Dropbox file, and it has all the icons and all the assets, all the densities, all the formats. And that's one way to do it. Probably the most tedious of the bunch, I got to be honest. So if you're doing that, whoa. The other one is through other tools. So some design tools allow you to export assets. Most of them do, actually. And then maybe you're just slacking or emailing these assets over to your developers. So let's zoom in on what it looks like to deliver assets in a design tool. So here I am in Figma, and as a dev, if I want to export this beautiful magnifying glass, what I do on this right-hand panel is click the Export tab, and I'll click this plus button here. I'm sure a lot of you know this. It's familiar in a lot of different tools. But what I have to do is, if I want a couple different densities, so if I want a 1x, 2x, and 3x, and I want a PNG and a JPEG, well, what I got to do is I got to go PNG 1x, click export. I got to go 2x, click export. I got to go 3x, click export. I got a JPEG 3x export, 2x export. I'm out of breath. But the point here being that it's just kind of like, it's just a lot of clicking, and it's a time sink. And that's just for one asset. That's just for this one magnifying glass. If I want to export maybe 20 or 50 assets and icons and a couple different densities and a couple different formats, it's like, whoa, it's like a clickorama. It's like a Wheel of Fortune with clicking or something like that. It's like So it just becomes very burdensome for us to do this. So how does Zeppelin do it differently? Well, here's the same screen right here. I'm gonna hop in, boom. I'll click on that same magnifying glass. This is the same screen here. And if we click the export button here and then publish the screen to Zeppelin, what we'll get is we'll get the formats automatically. So here you can see I have PNG, SVG, and even WebP that we provide for you. Not only that, but you get the 1x, 2x, and 3x densities for all these different formats. So this is a web project, so Zeppelin knows to create these three different formats here. So instantly right there, I don't have to play Clickorama. Zeppelin has automatically created all these different formats for me in all these different densities too. Woohoo! Yes. So that's how you can speed up delivering assets a little bit. Okay, the other thing, as a dev, once I export this asset or download it, usually what I'll do is use a third-party tool to optimize it. So I want to optimize it to make sure that the asset is as small as possible when I'm using it in my file. That way my app runs faster, it's easier to deploy, all this different stuff. So actually, Zeppelin will optimize your assets for you automatically. So here you can see this PNG is 45% smaller, and this SVG is 51% smaller. That's pretty small. I'm no mathematician, but that's small. The point being that just you don't have to do any extra steps as a dev when you're getting assets, right? You get all the formats you need, you get all the densities you need, and we even optimize them for you. So go ahead, just download it really quick, and boom, there you go. No Dropbox files, no clicking, no emailing, no Slack. You got what you need. Okay, great. So that's why assets in Zeppelin, even after all this time, after all these years of assets and all these different tools doing assets, that's why they're just a little bit more special in Zeppelin. So let's check out spacing. So you can actually define spacing tokens in Zeppelin, and you can actually view them on screens too. Spacing tokens are a subset of design tokens, which is kind of like a common language between design and development. These are usually pieces of your design that are reused across a lot of different screens. So it could be spacing or color, textiles. Today, we're just going to check out spacing values. But you can see here when I inspected this card and hovered over to the left, the distance to the left-hand side of the screen is 48 pixels. And I go over to the right, and it's the same. So I might see that, oh, this is actually used across my entire application. The specific spacing is used to delineate how close these cards are supposed to be to the edge of the screen, right? So this 48 pixels, as a dev, I probably have it in my code as a token already. And as a designer, I'm probably reusing this 48 pixels across my screens too. So how do we make sure that we can define those and then surface them on screens? Well, I just went to the dashboard view here, but if we go to the style guide view, and we go down to spacing and layout, you can actually add tokens. So I'm going to go ahead and just create one right now. Medium, not with 2 spaces at the end. And then the value, I believe, was 48. 48. Sounds right. You can also choose a color for the overlay. All right, so we just created a spacing token there. If we go back into that same screen that we were inspecting before, and we hover over to the left, it's like, boom. Now I know that this 48 pixels is actually my spacing medium token. And I get this overlay, this color overlay, to notify me as a dev, like, hey, this is a special spacing, this is a token, you should take note of this. And it's the same on the right-hand side too, right? So you might have lots of different spacing tokens in your design. Like here we can see that this is 12 pixels away from the other card, and it's 12 pixels again. This is probably something like auto layout. So that should probably be a token as well, right? But by defining and then surfacing spacing tokens in Zeppelin, what you're doing is creating that shared language between design and development, and you're bringing them closer together. You're bridging the gap. Great. So that's just a little bit about spacing tokens. When you have those reusable spacing elements in design and development, you can define them in Zeppelin, and then you can surface them on the screens. It'll tell you what spacing it is, and then it'll also give you this neat little overlay too. Cool beans. All right, let's keep moving. So that was assets, that was spacing tokens in Zeppelin. Now we're going to move on to one of my personal favorite features, pop out. And we have a saying in Zeppelin that is, when in doubt, you got to pop it out. So down here, actually, I'm going to go to a different screen. I'm just going to collapse this section right here. Pop into this screen. Okay, now we're in the right screen. So down here in the bottom, we have this pop-out icon. And usually what a developer is doing when they're creating, say, a web app or a website, they'll actually create a local host. So here you see I have a local host. And basically what I'm doing as a dev is I'm checking to see what my code looks like. So here it's actually looking pretty darn good, right? But how do I make sure that what I developed here, I need to stop doing that. How do I make sure that what I developed here is actually what was designed? So what I can do is I can actually pop this design out from Zeppelin, and I could overlay it onto my local host. And I can make sure that what I'm actually coding, what's on this local host, or potentially like an iOS emulator, an Android emulator, if what I coded is actually what was visually designed. And it actually looks like here in the bottom right that I misplaced the buttons a little bit. That's a little embarrassing, I'm not gonna lie. I don't know how that happened. But now I can check to see if they're the same, right? So that's great. Yeah, and you can pop out an iOS design, you can pop out an Android design, you can overlay it onto emulators. You can overlay, like I said, these web apps onto a local host, and boom, you get that comparison of the visual and the implemented design. So a little bit of QA there. Oh, QA. Okay, great. So that's assets, that's spacing, and that's pop out. And I just want to note that it's all these little features of Zeppelin, assets, optimizing them and providing them quickly. It's this is an optimization for design to development. So is spacing tokens, and so is pop out. You add all of these optimizations together, and they become pretty big. The pyramids are big because they have a big foundation, and this is the foundation that we're building at Zeppelin. I don't know if that analogy works, but whatever. Okay, so the one more thing I want to show, just one more feature in Zeppelin, and this feature is about connecting your library from your design tool to your front end library in code, right? It's kind of like that holy grail that we've been working on for so long, is merging the visually designed components with the front end components that developers might have in a library somewhere. So we call this connected components, and this button here is probably a reusable button across my application. You might have seen it actually in a couple screens already. So if I click on this button, this one is already connected to code. So I've connected this to code here. And when I click on this button, I can see that it's bringing in my documentation of that button from my file. And it's also bringing in my properties too. So we see the class name, the type, if it's disabled, if it has an icon, if it's on click, primary, secondary. So it's bringing in my documentation, and it's bringing in my properties. And then actually, when you connect this button to code, if you have Storybook in that same file, it'll automatically link Storybook. Let's go ahead and see what happens if we click this right here. Boom. There's that same button in Storybook right here. So that's the connection. This is a visual asset in Zeppelin, but this is my front end component library in Storybook. And we've linked the two. And so I can instantly go into Storybook. I can start interacting with the button, testing it, see what it looks like, and see if my implementation is actually what that visually designed button is too. Okay. Great. So that's connected components. That's that's probably the highest level feature that we have in Zeppelin for connecting the design world to the development world. And it's one of the most technical too. So it's bringing in a lot of information about your actual coded button, and it's linking to things like Storybook, Visual Studio Code. You can even do GitHub, Bitbucket, GitLab, things like that too. Great. So just to recap really quickly, assets. We've been doing this for a while, but Zeppelin does it just a little bit better. We provide all the assets for you based on the project platform. We provide all the densities for you automatically, and then we'll optimize the assets for you too. We'll go that one step further. You can define and also view spacing tokens in Zeppelin, bridging that gap between design and development and creating that common language of design tokens. So here you see my spacing medium, which is 48 pixels. You can pop out designs. Boom. Whoops. And make sure that what was developed is actually what was designed by overlaying this pop-out design on a local host or an emulator. Don't look at that. And finally, you can connect your library in your design tool to your coded front-end library through Zeppelin. And you can bring in your documentation, your properties, and you can also do things like automatically link Storybook. Boom. Okay, fantastic. So that's just a couple reasons why developers love Zeppelin. These are a few of the things that we hear developers are raving about in Zeppelin. There's a lot more. There's a lot more. But these are three that I wanted to show you all today, just in case you hadn't had a chance to check it out. Okay, so I think my my lovely moderators are gonna send me over some questions now, and we can get those answered. Let me just see. Okay, here's one. How do I download all assets at once? That is a good question. So if I'm in the screen view, we have this right-hand panel, and this is general information about this screen, who recently published. You can add a description. You have the links to share this screen. And there's some other information here too. If I go to this assets icon and I click it, you can actually see all the assets on this particular screen. So you can see that I have 93 PNG, 93 WebP, and 31 SVG. Kind of weird that this is actually the exact same number here. Don't know. Just coincidence, I guess. I don't know. But you can download all of them here. And if you want to see all the assets on the screen, and you want to maybe just download a few individually, you can do that too. Actually, one thing I didn't mention about assets that I want to go back to is Zeppelin has an experimental feature currently where we'll actually automatically export icons from your design tool. So you don't even need to mark this for export sometimes. if it's like a path in your design tool, we'll recognize that and we'll automatically create an asset out of it in Zeppelin. Just a sneak peek right there. Okay, so yeah, you can download all the different kinds of assets here individually. And you have some options too. You can change the naming convention. You can change what scales are generated. And then you can also choose which assets are automatically optimized. Another cool thing here is you can actually see all the named colors on this screen too. So here they are. Some of them are named. And you can see all the comments. Looks like Zoe was telling Burn, here's that note, to change this image up. That's pretty cool. That's a cool balloon. Cool. So that's how you can download all the assets on a screen and get some other information too. All right, what else do we got? Okay. How do I connect to code? Short, sweet, and to the point. Yeah, so what I would recommend doing is going to our GitHub. We have some documentation online about how to set up connected components. So in this at this GitHub URL, what you can do is it'll walk you through how to get started. It'll show you the different frameworks that we support. So React, Vue, Angular, Swift. And then how you can add links to like GitHub, Storybook, Style Guidist. And you can actually create your own plugin too. So these are some of the plugins that we have, and you can create your own. But yeah, if you want to learn how to connect to code, I would recommend going to our GitHub, and I would recommend checking out this documentation. We could send this out afterwards too. Yeah, basically you'll need a CLI. You'll need a configuration file in your repo, and then you can connect them. Great. I think we have time for probably just one more. I'm interested in learning more about the Jira ticket I see. Could you overview this? Yes, sure. So Jira, yeah, we have a couple integrations on the right-hand side in Zeppelin that you can add. You can add Slack, so you'll get notifications about updates to screens or other things happening in this particular project. You can add this to Microsoft Teams. You can connect it to Trello. And that's actually from Jira. The connection is done in Jira. From Jira, you can add screens to issues or projects or even project sections to epics. And basically what the Jira integration does is it provides a bi-directional link between Jira and Zeppelin. So I can show you what that looks like. If I click this here, it'll take me to Jira. Nobody added a description here. Kind of upset about that. And actually what I can do is I can hop back to that screen in Zeppelin as well. Whoops. A sec here. Okay, loading. So here's that screen that we're just looking at, and I can actually hop back into Zeppelin from here. So I can kind of go back and forth. That's what I'm talking about when I mean bi-directional. So that's the bi-directional link. You can also bring in Jira into Zeppelin, which isn't something that you can do in many tools. So here you see I can filter based on the issue. If this project has a lot of different issues, what I can do is actually, hey, maybe I know I'm working on TA19. Boom. There we go. There it is. Right. So I don't have to worry about getting kind of cluttered out here. So I would probably recommend adding issues to screens. And if we go back to the dashboard or the workspace view, you can actually add Jira Links here to a project section. So maybe this is the epic in Jira that encompasses maybe a whole application, and these projects are the different features of that application, right? So you attach the epic here, and then when you hop into a project, you attach an issue to screen. So that's how you can bring in the hierarchy of Jira into Zeppelin and use that organization there. Okay, fantastic. Well, we have a couple minutes left. I think we'll cut it there. I wanted to thank everybody for joining today, and just let you know that Zeppelin, we are focused. We are laser focused on the collaboration between designers and developers. That's what we did since day one, and that's what we're doing today too. And it shows just in things like our assets or our spacing tokens, or pop out, right? Or connecting components to code. All these little pieces are just to further that dream of bringing design and development closer together and closer than ever. So that's what we're doing at Zeppelin. If you have any questions, you can always reach out to us at support@zeppelin.io. We have some fantastic support members in there that are willing to answer any and all questions. Hope I'm not giving them too much work, but they are very good. They'll respond quickly, and they're very, very knowledgeable about Zeppelin and the design tool community as a whole. So shoot us a note. Let us know what you think. And good hanging out with everybody today. Good to see you. Okay, bye.